Just imagine it's early 1970s and a team of explorers with a small company of soldiers are following the myth and legend Kong. In the Pacific, amid rumors of an island where creatures both prehistoric and monstrous are supposed to live, soon they come across Skull Island, the very island of lore and legend. The creatures they soon come across make the soldiers and explorers fear for their lives. Soon Kong shows up to let them all know that King of Skull Island, and he's top of the food chain. Today I will convince you to watch this movie, Kong, Skull Island, directed by Jordan Vogt. Made in March 2017, one of the best monster movies filmed in the Monsterverse. The film was nominated for the Best Visual Effects for the 90th Academy Awards. The movie takes place as the second movie for the legendary Monsterverse. First, I will share the actors and brief overview for the movie with you. Next, I will share my opinions and thoughts for the bettering the movie. And lastly, I will share the opinions of other critiquers. The plot centers around the hunt for a giant ape named Kong on Skull Island. In 1944, two World War II fighter pilots named American pilot Hank Marlowe and Japanese pilot Gui Ikari parachute onto an island in the South Pacific after a dogfight and an engage in close combat, but the fight is interrupted by a giant 100-foot ape named Kong. 29 years later, Bill Randa, the head of the USA Monarch organization, plans a research for primeval creatures. Arriving at Skull Island's Packard's men begin dropping seismic explosives developed by Randa's seismologist Houston Brooks to map out the island and prove Brooks' hollow earth theory. The unit is then backed by the giant apes scattering the survivors across the island. Two groups form between the survivors, one with Conrad Weaver, the researchers, and one with the soldiers. The others, with Randa and the rest, Packard, goes in search of the transport helicopter piloted by his right-hand man, Major Jack Chapman, intending to use the weapons on board to kill the ape. Conrad's group encounters the local Iwi natives and an older Marlowe. Marlowe tells the group the giant ape's name's Kong, and he protects the island from predators. The Iwi believe when Kong dies, a giant skull crawler will awaken and threaten the island. Marlowe leads them through a mass grave, and they are attacked by skull crawlers that kill Chapman, which also kills Randa and the others before dying in flammable gas triggered by Weaver. Marlowe and Brooks attempt to explain that killing Kong would lead to skull crawlers running rampant, but Packard refused to believe this. Packard's group lures Kong with the remaining seismic charges and incapacitates him with an ignited napalm. Conrad, Weaver, and Marlowe arrive and after a standoff persuade the other soldiers to spare Kong, but Packard refuses to yield. And I have this video. This clip shows the main appeal of the movie with two large monsters. The other reason that this clip caught my eye was the stunning visual effects and the movie that it showed. Samuel Jackson was an Oscar nominee and his best achievement was in the visual effects. John Goodman. A quote from John Goodman is that, "You're a 10-year-old kid watching a girl get tied up and fed to a gorilla," says John Goodman, but about the first time he ever saw the original 1933 King Kong. Doesn't get much better than this. A giant monster movies fan, the eighth wonder of the world makes his triumph return. Stay true in an important way to the spirit of King Kong. It constantly shows action and story goes into detail about the history of the island. It shows the history of King Kong and the people living on the island, and the suffers they must go through. Owen Gleiberman said that this 2 years ago, Jurassic World came out and made a staggering $652 million at the domestic box office, even though it was a messy, unimaginative piece of thunder lizard junk. A movie so inspirational it felt genetically engineered. It was a depressing reminder of what blockbuster movie culture can get in the way with if a big monster enough franchise strikes enough reptile brain chords of recognition on that scale. Kong Skull Island would seem to have a lot going for it commercially. This critique specifically states that this movie was better than Jurassic World in many ways. Matt Zoller's site states, at its best, it reminded me of the Mysterious Island and that land of forgotten time. Practically, it sums up the movie as a venture through something mythical and forgotten. Windy Eyed from The Guardian says that this about King Kong Skull Island. I quote, pretty much every monster movie from the original King Kong via Godzilla onwards, the real antagonist here is not one with the feet the size of a Volvo estate that can crush members of supporting casts. It's a man's territorial nature and hubris to believe the violence is answer. Wendy says that the truth isn't always plain and simple, that the problem is something already near you. Now that I've told you everything, let me explain why you should watch this movie. I insist on watching this movie packed with action and thrills throughout the entire movie. So, if you are brave enough to seek the dangers of a mysterious island where few dared to venture, his rule has begun, and now try to watch. Thank you.